me coming on. It has been very long. I've done some shorts that y'all saw, but it has been very long that I have got on and really talked to y'all about what's going on with me. But today is the day for me to start the process of something that the Lord has told me to start talking about, which has been from actually like the end of February, almost the beginning of March. So it has been 6 months that it has taken me to start this process that I'm going to try and start on talking about my dating life, my past and my dating life up until now, and talk and share with y'all how things have changed, how I have changed, from how I used to date and my past relationships into now. So hello. How are my hearts doing? My hearts, ladies that are in my heart, that I think about. And so here I am wanting, trying to share with y'all some, and men, y'all are in my heart as well. But God told me to empower women. So, most of what I'm going to share is for the ladies. So, struggling with what to start with. I had my book with my notes, and I'm looking back at, what things that the Lord told me, and how he wants my channel to progress, and how much he wants me to share and how much he doesn't want me to share. So one of the things, let me see if I should just read this. Well, he said, the Lord told me to talk about my past dating life, versus how I think about it today. And he wants me to discuss dating and how to date wholly, which will include, and he specifically said that will include God, like how to date God. And I feel like that's kind of like where I'm at right now, where like I'm dating the Lord. God and I are building a relationship. I'm building a relationship with God right now. And but I think the Lord wants me to talk about my past, and then like bring it up to, or just include in how I am now in a relationship with him, and being single, and just what that looks like, being single, but single from my husband, who I know that God has my husband, has someone for me, but what that looks like, about dating God and building a relationship with him that will really help you heal from your past. And the things that you've gone through, the things that I've gone through in my past, that were hurtful from past relationships, that were relationships that were not for me, where there were emotional pain and things that sin, sexual immorality, things that I used to do, with men that I was dating or that I wasn't dating, and this is hard because it's really putting myself out there and putting my business out there. But my business is God's business. And my business, my past is my testimony. And my testimony is what's going to help empower women. So I have to put myself out there and share things that I used to do and share my past. So what I'm going to do is start off with what I can remember. Because one thing about my past is you know how some people say like they can remember when they were like really young, like 2 and 3 or 4 or 5. I can't remember that. I can't remember. I remember certain instances, certain things that happened when I was really young, but I don't remember and find details when I was really young. But this is what I can remember. So first of all, I'm a daughter of 5. My mom had 5 girls. So, and I'm the youngest. We all of our names start with K, and my mom's name was Alice. And my mother is deceased. My father is deceased as well, currently. My mom died when I was 16. And I can remember when I was little that my mom and my dad, they were together, but then it was very in and out, like it was very, their relationship, I just remember him being around sometimes, and then sometimes he wasn't around. And bear with me, y'all, because God is gonna bring things back to my memory, but I'm trying to remember certain things. So forgive me if I pause too long. But so anyway, my father, and I think this is important to share, give some background of like my mother and my father and how their relationship was. So again, my father, he wasn't really around, and we moved a lot. I remember we were from Chester, Pennsylvania, but we lived in Chester. We had a church. My grandmother, I can remember, she had a church. My mother was a pastor. My grandmother was a pastor. I think my mom, I don't know if she pastored or if she was an evangelist. But we had a church, and I can remember, like, when I was little, I would sing on the my sisters, I would sing with my sisters, and in that church, in my grandmother's church. And from Chester, we were between Chester, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, Claymont, Delaware. And I can remember, what I can remember is that when I was young, I had there was just a lot of transition, like I can remember having a babysitter. I remember being from Chester, but going to school in elementary school. I went to elementary school through high school, all the way up in Delaware. So I can remember being, going to school in Delaware, in Claymont, and having babysitters, and like my mom's friends, who I used to, because we were using their address. My mom, I think she was trying to like have me go to a different type of school, like a better school than the schools in Chester, because they were really bad. And so I had babysitters where we were using their address for me to go to school in Delaware. And so that, and then let me see, and then eventually, we had an apartment. I remember my grandmother being in that apartment, and we ended up having a fire. So that's one big thing that happened in our family, and I think we were in a newspaper for it too. It was a bad fire that we had in Claymont, Delaware. And I think that may have been even prior to me. I don't know if that was before. I think that was before I started going to school and so forth, in Claymont, because I think we had that fire, and then maybe like my mom was, that's when maybe like after that I started school, and we had babysitters for me and stuff like that. But that fire, we had that fire and lost like a lot of pictures and things like that. So I don't even have really like any pictures of myself like as a baby and as a little girl within the house, within the home. Like pictures, I have pictures of me being young, like that you get from school, when they have that like picture day or whatever, but not anything. I have a few little pictures of me because we lost all our pictures and stuff like that in the fire. And because pictures tell a story of like the environment and who was around and stuff like that. So I don't have any of that. But anyway, eventually when I finished school, I went to elementary school, and then the next school that I went to, this was when my mom actually, when we moved, we went back to Chester for a period of time, and then we moved back to Delaware when my mom got a good job, and she transitioned us back to Delaware. And she had, we lived in a really nice area in Delaware because she had gotten a really good job.